I said to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television, it's 6 p.m. in Douala. It's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us. Our major stories right away. The Bank of Central African States, BIAC, is presently being rocked by some crisis or power tussle. The crisis centers around the Chadian-born Mohamed Toli, who is still in power after his mandate has already expired. We will be telling you more in this edition of the news. And also in sports, host country Cote d'Ivoire finally navigates to the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations. The Elephants beat the Leopards of the DRC. Those are our major stories. Details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. Truck drivers of the Cameroon Petroleum Depot Company, SADP, are protesting against the new method of loading trucks. They have been staging a peaceful demonstration at the company this morning. The truck drivers say the electronic method gives room for some fuel liters to disappear, fuel liters of fuel. ACA Lucille Yengu was there. She now tells us what she saw and heard.
Truck drivers of the Cameroon Petroleum Depot Company, Douala, carrying out a peaceful protest demonstration. They are denouncing the electronic system implemented by the buses. As a result of the strike action, activities have been grounded with truck stations in front of the company. The aggrieved drivers say they have tried discussing the difficulties with officials, however, they were given a deaf ear. Another major concern raised by the truck drivers is the fact that they have nowhere to park their vehicles. This decision is greatly contested by the drivers, who say it is exposing them to security threat. Attempts to get to authorities of the Cameroon Petroleum Depot Company were in vain. It is feared that if the problem raised by the drivers is not resolved in the days ahead, the problem may escalate.
And now some private schools in the economic capital Douala are threatening to begin boycotting National Youth Day Parade in the city of Douala. The proprietors of some schools are protesting the fact that they are being asked to pay the sum of about 50,000 francs CFA for their pupils to take part in the National Day Parade. Babila Jonathan reports.
This thing is not supposed to be paid for.
Proprietors of private primary and secondary schools opposed the payment of fees to partake in the 11th February Youth Day Parade.
They started with 10,000, from 10,000 to 15,000, 15,000 to 20,000. We are afraid that tomorrow may be 100,000.
The school owners had been paying for 5 years. They are now saying enough is enough. No more payment. These ones in the Douala 4 subdivision have come together to fight for the rights of the pupils and students.
It's their right to participate during the youth week or the youth day. Why should the youth today pay before exercising their civic rights?
They should not deprive children from exercising their civil rights to celebrate this great day. My children are singing around the whole quarter, they are marching around the whole quarter. I'll prepare them like this. And because I've not paid 20,000 if I carry them there at the Bonasama, and they will tell them that to go back home. What a frustration.
The school proprietors are threatening to boycott the Youth Day Parade henceforth should the authorities fail to listen to their worries.
This payment of 20,000 francs for primary schools and 50,000 francs for secondary schools should be abolished.
If the government cannot listen to our plea, we next year will allow the government schools or the political parties to march. We will sit and watch them in our various homes with the TV.
At the Douala 4 divisional office, where the money is paid, we're told that it is the private school's contribution to the organization of the Youth Day activities by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education.
And now we take you to the southwest region, precisely in the Nous division, where some 8 shops have been razed by a fire incident which happened in a market in Mamfe. The actual cause of the fire is still to be established, but local authorities assure the local population that it is not about separatist activities. Cedric Chakutu with the details.
The 8 shops were reduced to ashes in one of the markets in the heart of Mamfe, Nous division of the southwest region. Victims say the fire quickly spread because the shops were interlinked. Despite efforts from the local population, the stubborn flames went further to reduce the contents of the shops to dust. The fire started behind my shop. I wasn't inside. How am I going to do? I lost everything. Local authorities assure that this incident has nothing criminal, or better still, has nothing to do with separatist attack.
Shops have been burned today by unknown fire. We don't know where the fire came from. The eyewitnesses told us that the fire started from a shop that was locked up. The person owning the shop was not there at the time. So we barely can identify what was the cause of the fire. I believe that the forces of law and order are going to take measures to investigate and to know what is the actual cause of the fire. I want to state it very clear, critically clear, that it is not an Ambazonian attack. The fire is not caused by the Ambazonian terrorists. No, it is caused by unknown situation. And I believe that the forces of law and order are going to investigate, and in the days ahead they will tell us what actually happened.
No loss in life was recorded, and local authorities promise investigations to know what really happened.
And now coming back to the National Youth Day celebrations, which come up on Sunday, the 11th of February. Students in some schools in the littoral region gathered at the government bilingual high school Nilong, Brazzaville, in the Douala 3 subdivision to showcase their expertise on different fields. This was within the context of the Scientific and Technological Day. Lucy Liengu is here was at the government bilingual high school Nilong, Brazzaville. She now tells us more.
In line with the 58th edition of the National Youth Day, students across the littoral region converged at Government Bilingual High School, Nilong, Brazzaville, within the context of the Scientific and Technological Day. The students exhibited their know-how in various fields. The case of students of All Saint Bilingual College, who presented a water pump in a bid to curb the problem of water shortage affecting the population.
Because all I've done here is that I've connected syringes, filled it with water and passed it through tubes to another syringe.
The young people also thought on how the problem of power failure can be resolved. They invented a machine that can distribute electricity.
Son principe est très simple. À l'aide d'un clap, elle s'allume.
Students of Government School Newbell presented an innovative liquid soap.
For the components, we use Texapon for the component, and we use carbonate, salt with water, and just heat.
The Scientific and Technological Days observed at Government Bilingual High School, Nilong, Brazzaville, was in the presence of the Secretary General at the Littoral Governor's Office, representing the Governor, the Regional Delegate for Secondary Education.
This day is just a local day because we have discovered that our students of general teaching don't have a platform where they can express themselves in science subjects.
We asked a question on how these children will be accompanied by the government as a means of reducing unemployment.
It's a process and we are on the move. So when the government will see that it is very important for it to accompany the students, they will do it.
Other students from different institutions presented products of their practical work, ranging from agriculture, arts and craft. The first 3 Best Innovation Award was presented to students of Government School Makepe, All Saint Bilingual College, and Government Bilingual High School, Nilong, Brazzaville. At the end, the young people also showcased their culture.
Interesting indeed. Now we talk insecurity. The population of Koson in the Mayo-Tanaga division of the Far North region say heightened insecurity has greatly affected economic activities and the development of their area. While launching activities ahead of the National Youth Day, they implored authorities to enforce security and also include youths on their development plan. Immaculate Fogwe with the details.
Living in Kosehong, a locality in the Maritanaga Division, Far North region, has been described by denizens as a veritable nightmare. For several months, kidnapping for ransom has been on the rise due to persistent attacks by the Islamic terrorist armed groups. Last year, 7 people got killed. People are frequently kidnapped with huge sums demanded as ransom. Despite the presence of security elements, we are still not secured because of the limited number. We are expecting them to reinforce security. The frequent attacks have contributed in slowing down economic activities as well as the development of the area. Due to insecurity, we are unable to go about our daily activities. Many are scared to go to their farms because their goods are sometimes seized while on their way back home. In prelude of the Youth Day celebration, administrative authorities of Kosehong used the opportunity to sensitize youths on the importance of respecting the laws of the land while assuring them of the presence of security elements to protect them. I took the opportunity to encourage youths to engage in income-generating activities. I also called on them not to allow themselves to be used for the wrong reasons, and efforts are being made to tighten security in Kosehong for the benefit of the entire population. The 58th edition of the National Youth Day is being celebrated under the theme Youth, Import Substitution and Economic Patriotism for the Progress of Cameroon.
And now we told you in the headlines, the Bank of Central African States BIAC is being rocked by another crisis recently. The crisis which centers around the governor Chadian-born Abba Toli Mohammed consists of a call for his replacement after the expiration of his mandate that was on February 6, 2024. For me, I'm Chong Sanda Tososmore.
Here is the correspondence that sparks the crisis. It is from the Directorate General in charge of General Control at the Bank of Central African States BIAC. Cameroonian-born Blaise Eugene Som believes that the governor of BIAC no longer has the capacity to act on behalf of the bank due to the foreclosure of his mandate. He recalls the provisions of the statutes of the Central African Bank on the duration of mandate, aspects relating to the management of vacancies in the position of the governor. In a letter addressed to the main officials of BIAC, he recalls the end of the mandate of Abbas Toli Mohammed, given that he took over on February 6, 2017. On this basis, the Director of Control concludes that the Chadian no longer has a mandate or authorization to represent his country within the BIAC government, and that Abbas Toli Mohammed must be replaced by the Vice Governor. He adds that it is the latter, with the Secretary General, the General Director of Operations and the Director of Control, who now forms the BIAC government. While waiting for the appointment of a new governor, Eugene Som outlined the tasks to be carried out in the meantime by officials he designates as legitimate. A response to him came from the Vice Governor, one of the recipients of his correspondence. Michael Zumbala recalls that the governor of BIAC is appointed by the Conference of Heads of State of CEMAC, and that it is up to the highest sub-regional authorities to designate his successor and end his mandate. By setting the contours of the transition, the Director of Controls is beyond his powers, encroaching on those of the governor, who can take any precautionary measures in the interest of the bank. The crisis within the Bank of Central African States BIAC recalls the tensions which have marked the functioning of CEMAC institutions in recent years, as the sub-region remains the least developed sub-region on the African continent.
And now we take you out of our National Frontiers viewers. New advancements by M23 rebels in the DRC conflict reading east have caused thousands to flee to Goma. And the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, this Thursday held a meeting in Abuja, Nigeria, to discuss on the political crisis shaking some countries in West Africa. Mala Glory tells us more.
Thousands of people are fleeing violence in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo as fighting intensified between the Congolese army and the M23 armed group. Fighters reportedly surrounded the strategic town of Sake on Wednesday, a crucial step before reaching Goma, the capital of North Kivu. Capturing Sake will have a negative impact on the Congolese soldiers. The Congolese army and United Nations peacekeepers have been struggling to contain M23's advance. And as fighting continues, thousands of those who fled Sake have arrived Bolengo, about 10 kilometers west of Goma. And elsewhere, the Mediation and Security Council of the Economic Community of West African States will hold a special session in Abuja this February 8, 2024 to discuss political and security issues, including withdrawals of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger from the organization. The three countries account for 15% of ECOWAS population. Nearly half of its surface area have a considerable economic potential. The three countries accuse ECOWAS that the economic and financial sanctions against Mali and Niger following military coups in those states are illegal, illegitimate, inhuman and irresponsible in violating of its own rules. They also contend that sanctions were imposed at the instigation of foreign powers. Second, the leaders allege ECOWAS withheld support for their fight against terrorism and insecurity.
In sports, viewers, we told in the headlines that host country of the AFCON, Côte d'Ivoire, has qualified for the final of the Africa Cup of Nations. Now it will be a West African derby at the final of the African Nations Cup next February 11, 2024 as the host Côte d'Ivoire challenges Nigeria. Côte d'Ivoire recorded a slim 1-0 victory over the DRC to secure their place at the final. At the end of the game in Ipimbi, our envoy Samanji Gabriel spoke to some supporters and put together this report for the news.
Supporters of the Ivorian national football team in total ecstasy as the team picked up their qualification ticket for the finals of the 34th edition of the AFCON. A lone goal from the Elephant star player Sebastien Halle sent the Ivorians to the final, a team which wasn't counted amongst the favorites at the end of the group stages. The team has made us very happy. We have forgotten about the pains and suffering we went through during the group phase. No one gave us the chance, but we are at the finals. As supporters left the Bimpe Stadium, they say the journey was made possible because of God's grace. We are first of all saying thank you to the Lord Almighty because it hasn't been easy on us. We were last in our group. People made mockery of us, but God gave us the grace. Thank you to the Elephants. We see we are nothing, but we have qualified. With a good run of results for the host nation, most of the supporters now eye the trophy. We are the organizers, and now we are qualified for the final. The tournament has been well organized. The public is there with high-class infrastructures. As you can see, we are going to win this AFCON. Host nation Côte d'Ivoire will take on 3 times champions, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, who also had a tough time in defeating the Bafana of South Africa after post-match penalty shootout 4-2 at the final on February 11, 2024. The final will be a rematch of the second Group A game where Nigeria defeated Côte d'Ivoire by 1-0.
And that does it for the first part of the news. Viewers, thank you so much for always being there. But don't go away, Talking Points comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Mark Abaiko. He is an author, writer, and also a young entrepreneur. We will be discussing the challenges youths in Cameroon face on a daily basis and how those problems can be handled that day in prelude to the National Youth Day, which comes up on the 11th of February. That would be on Sunday. Mark, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Now, let's talk about youths and the use of social media. We have noticed that youths are the ones who make use of social media the more, and they are always very attached to it. Now, how can the youth in our country make use of social media to their advantage and not to their disadvantage or detriment?
Hey, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this platform with you, Madam Anne. Social media has adverse effect for some people, for some youth who are very, who are agile, who are so excited to get into that platform and use it. It has so many negative, or it has proven to be negative to them based on what they showcase. Many of them follow some social media influencers to showcase their body, to expose their body. Some of them are very toxic. They get hate speech, they get insulted, and they get into insulting people on Facebook, on WhatsApp, in all these platforms. So those are the negative aspect of it. People hide in the cocoon of anonymity to express hate speech. Is through social media. You can insult the president, you can insult anybody that you want, and these are some of the negative effects of it. And these people cannot be arrested because they have a virtual body that cannot be touched. And again, social media also is instigating. It instigates, people use it to instigate others to commit crimes, to do certain things. Like I can talk, the Anglophone crisis is fueled highly through social media. Now those are some of the negative effects. Now what can be done? It's very difficult to say that something effective can be done, because social media is a virtual space. So it's difficult to really arrest those people, to sanction, like if we have to sanction. But what can only be done is sensitization. We should sensitize youth on the use of social media. We should sensitize them more on the benefit of using social media. And when we do this sensitization, we as a team have already started doing sensitization like that. We move from one school to another, sensitizing students on how you can use social media for benefit. You can go, there are some important blogs that have content you can read. There are some people that release short videos that are very entertaining and also very edutaining, that is educative. So you can go to that, and you can also use social media to express yourself in writing. You also express useful content that can be educative to people at large. So I think it's only sensitization, because if sanctioning, you can sanction them since they are virtual.
And now, Max, you are an entrepreneur. Let's just say you're a startup because you're a young entrepreneur, let's put it that way. And we hear the authorities always talking about self-employment, but youths just like yourself always complain of some stumbling blocks, such as in exorbitant taxes. Have you faced such situations before in your entrepreneurship journey?
Entrepreneurship in Cameroon is not easy like in other countries. It's very difficult because people are not supportive. I launched a bookshop, a small bookshop, when I was still in Yaoundé, in Soa. And it was just a small bookshop, and they told me to pay 150,000 francs a year. I said, what? I don't make up to 10,000, I don't make up to 20,000 francs a month in this bookshop, and you're asking me to pay 150,000 francs. And as a result of that, if not that I was so much strong, I'm a strong person, and despite the taxes, I continued. But many people shrink, many people abandon their businesses, many youth in particular abandon businesses because of high taxes that are given to them, and it seems like the government does not want youth to engage into entrepreneurship, and this is conflicting to the presidential speech, because in every year, I think from 2018, every year the president's speech is centered on entrepreneurship, youth employment. You should engage in entrepreneurship. But now on the field is something different. The people, the councillors, they are bent at giving high taxes to youth, and it's discouraging. So at the end of the day, youth now will turn back to the government for jobs, because government jobs, you just need to write concours. Nobody will tax you. Yeah, once you can pay the manda, nobody will tax you. Once you get the job as a magistrate, as a court registrar, nobody will tax you. So, but on the other hand, people get taxes, and it's discouraged. So we're calling on the government to reduce taxes to entrepreneurs, to encourage them, and also to meet the president's vision of creating an economy filled with entrepreneurs.
Okay. Sure, the youth should never give up. Now, Max, let's talk youth and politics. Just to be brief, why is it that most youth in Cameroon shy away from politics so much?
Yes, the issue is many youths are not interested in politics because the government has proven that it is a government of gerontocracy, government of elders, government of old people, as they say. Because you see, politics is all about, it's a game of interest, and for there to be smooth politics, there must be exchange of power frequently, either from the youth to the old or from the youth, so stuff like that. So, but the youth shy away from politics because they have discovered that same year, we still see the same faces. And what is the hope of them engaging into politics? So it's like they are using them to vote for the same faces they have been seeing. So that is it. So if there is a change of power, not only the president of the republic, because many people are centered around changing the president of the republic, not only the president of the republic, even in other dimensions that I will not want to call, we still see only old faces. So what aspirations do you want to give to the youth? So because when people are joining politics, they are joining with the hope that one day they can become president, one day they can become parliamentarians, one day they can become. But if at the end of the day, they still see that the same people who are senators, the same people who are parliamentarians, they are only old people, then if they have concluded that this gerontocracy, then the youth just have to watch and clap their hands.
No, Mark, the youth shouldn't clap their hands. I think they should dare and see what tomorrow holds for them. And now, Max, you are and also a writer. You have 2 books that you have published, and you are also a public speaker, and you intend training some young people on how to be able to speak convincingly in public and also to their employers. Why not? Can you tell us what's your motivation and how the program is going to unroll?
I have a team that is aimed at training 1,000 communicators as a whole between now and 2025, and we can train 1,000 communicators. It can only be possible through seminars or through trainings that we organize. So we started this campaign of training 1,000 communicators last December in Boya, and we are moving forward to Douala. So tomorrow we'll be organizing a seminar at the Regional Linguistic Center at Bonanjo here in Douala to train youth or to train communicators, because communication as a whole centers or affects or applies in every aspect of our human life. Doctors need to be good communicators in order to perform their job. Teachers need to be good communicators. Politicians, administrators, whoever, they need good communication. They need to know how to express themselves. They need to know how to express their ideas. And for the youth, they need good communication. And I wrote in my book, Permit You, that's not my only book, that's my 3rd book. I have 3 books, that's the 3rd one. I wrote in that book, The Magic in Communication. If you see on the cover page, the quotation is that if your communication is sound, your promotion is bound. So everyone who needs to promotion, because many people cry, I've been working for about 10 to 15 years, no promotion. Now, if you are not promoted because there are certain things you are not doing, if you can hold a good communication, then you will be promoted sooner or later, because once you can communicate your ideas convincingly to your employer, then your employer will see some resource in you and he will deem it necessary to promote you to the level that he wants you to be.
Good luck in your adventure, Mark, and thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Viewers, we thank you so much for always being sad. Don't go away. Our programs continue. The news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television, and bye-bye for now.